Yo, what's up team? I have no idea what this looks like on the camera, so hopefully you can see me. You don't really need to. I think the most important thing is just the information, the relay of information. So we're currently in the 7th week of our training block, and we're just about to enter a deload week, which is next week. Alright, so we are going to be doing one more heavy block of training this week. I guess that's your invitation to give yourself a really good push. You should be okay to push real hard this week, and then next week I'm going to deload your training, give you I guess options that you can choose from to make sure that the training load is not too high. You can still lift I guess decent to kind of heavy weight next week. You don't need to, but just to keep yourself moving, I would stay active. Alright, we don't want to do nothing. Essentially we just like to be active, and we just like to make sure that we're practicing things like our mobility and just our movements and just nailing all of the technical aspects of our training. So that's how I want you to attack the rest of this week. Everyone's done so well this morning. It's the 17th today, and basically we've had a big training block this morning, good push in the gym. We've got one more training to do today, and then for the rest of the week we're just going to be inviting you to give yourself a good push, finish strong through this week, and then enter into a deload to allow yourself to get a bit of rest. So remember, new stimulus is the thing that creates that muscle soreness. Okay, so if you're getting muscle soreness for a few days, either you're doing movements that you haven't been doing, or you're lifting weights or adding reps or decreasing the rest. So somehow you're progressively overloading, and if you overload too much, more than what you're used to, then you usually get that DOMS effect, which is most of the time a couple of days later, sometimes the day after, sometimes the same day, that you'll get a bit sore. Really depends on the stimulus that you use for the training session. So keep that in the back of your mind. If you did a particular weight last week, I've designed this training for this week so that the volume is a small overload or progressive overload from what we did in the previous week and the weeks before. So you don't have to go crazy with your weights, but if you are going to use weights as a way to progress, then maybe a small increment is okay. The other way you can do it is to just do more sets at a heavier weight. And when I say heavier, I mean anything that's slightly heavier. If last week you did 80 kgs, 81 kgs is an increment, right? You didn't do 81 kgs last week. So it is a progression regardless of how small you jump. Obviously, there's certain factors to think about in terms of what percentages you are staying around for most of your training. But if you follow the program correctly for the past few weeks, you should have been up around that 75 to 80% in terms of the weights that we use in the class, which is enough. All right, it's enough, and then the volume that's there already should have been enough to help you improve with the lifts that you've been doing. So keep that in the back of your mind as you train this week. Any small increments in terms of intensity that you change this week will be enough to be a progression from last week to this week. And then the week after, which is next week, we're going to deload. We're just going to take away some of your weight, take away a little bit of the volume, and allow the body to kind of rest a little bit before we put it through strenuous activity again. Because what we would like in the testing week is just maximum intensity. All right, and I always say this to everyone, testing week is just a snapshot in time of your current ability for that moment in time. It's not a reflection of all the work you've done. It is kind of like an average of where you sit. Even if you do amazing, that's great. Okay, so you've just had an optimal week for yourself. And even if you don't do very well, if you don't get new PBs, if you don't improve, maybe you just get the same or even slightly less, but your movement feels better. All right, these are just little things that you can focus on. At the end of the day, we want to be moving really well, and if we can do that with some external load, then we have aced the game. So yes, deload week, and then we're going to be doing our testing week. After testing week, we're going to be doing, drum roll please, so dry. After the deload week to testing week, we're going to have a new phase for a month. Now, do not be alarmed. Just because the name of this phase is what it is. I'm going to tell you in a moment. It does not mean that we're not going to lift decent weight, that we're not going to be physically challenged, that we're not going to experience the intensity that we have over the last few weeks, that the workout's not going to be hard. Okay, there will be a lot of volume in the starting part of the phase, but it's something I've never really focused on, I guess, entirely. But this time, we're going to focus on this entirely, and I think you guys will really enjoy it. We are going to have a mobility block for 1 month. Now, don't get me wrong, like I said before, there's going to be enough volume in there to challenge you physically. There are going to be some positions that we're going to be exposed to. Oh my gosh. And, you know, we're just going to have a good time with it. All right. I'm really excited about doing this. I think it's something that a lot of places overlook, and they kind of dabble in it, and they kind of talk about it, and they do a bit of stretching and call it mobility. But this will be variations of the movements we use already, trying to take the joints to their end range, trying to get as much lengthening through muscle groups and then flexion as well. And just challenging yourself in something that you've never really done before. So I'm going to be working with my co-coach Ariana, and I'll even talk to Julia as well. I love to pick brains. Everybody has knowledge, regardless of your experience in the training sector. There are things that you know that I don't know in your own workforce industry that could potentially be beneficial to the things we're going to be doing. And so anyways, we'll be picking a lot of brains. We'll be making sure that we're trying to expose the body to different positions, trying to expose you to your weaker positions and work over those for the 4 weeks at the start. And then we're going into I guess we will kind of keep the strength hypertrophy framework, but there will be a few different things that will be going on in that new block once we finish this mobility block. But I think you guys are really going to enjoy this. No doubt you will definitely get stronger. You might get weaker or feel weaker before you get stronger, which is fine. Completely normal. Happens to every single one of us when we experience new skills. All right, and so I want you to try to keep an open mind about this new block. Like I said before, do not rule out strength, do not rule out volume, and do not rule out intensity. It is still going to be there. All right, I'm going to find different ways to challenge you physically. I mean, we did 6 minutes the other day of tempo squatting and isometric push-ups, holds, and that was tough. And that was only 6 minutes. So we will be doing stuff similar to that as well. I really want to get you into this mobility block. But anyways, first things first, let's take care of the end of this training block. Work as hard as you can for this 7th week, all right, within the parameters of your safety. Next week, deload as much as we can, and then obviously trying to stay active. If you're going to take days off the gym, that is fine. But remember, you need to make sure that you're matching it with your natural activity on those days. On Mondays, we're doing more upper body. On Tuesdays, we're doing more legs. On Wednesdays, more cardio. On Thursdays, denim day, baby. You know what it is. So you need to make sure you're trying to follow suit with those things so that you're exposing yourself to the correct things on the correct days, because that will be what we probably utilize for format-wise for our actual testing week as well. And we want to be primed and ready for that testing week. I think that is mainly it. I'm going to be doing another video very soon on how to tell if you're actually getting old, okay? And these 2 exercises are things that I think are really important for you to be able to do to justify that your age is still within the young parameters of what we call young these days. So age is age, but I definitely think it is determined by your ability to move, your physical ability. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching this far. You know what to do, baby. Chuck a young sword down in the comments below. Ching, ching. Thanks for watching. Let's go.